My neighbor is about to move to Beverly Hills, so he called me over to give me some items he no longer uses. I thought he would give me some usual household items, but he actually gave me an old car sitting in his yard. He said it was a thank you for all the times I accepted his Amazon deliveries for him. Wealthy people are different. Moving to Beverly Hills means they don't need such old things anymore. I towed the car home and checked it over before starting any repairs. The surface of the car door has many stains and possible rust spots, especially in areas exposed to water and humidity. These stains could be caused by dirt, tree sap, or other contaminants. The car door has many paint chips and visible signs of damage due to environmental exposure like sunlight, rain, and dirt. The components inside the door, such as the handle and plastic parts, are also worn and deteriorated. The steering wheel is worn and heavily soiled, with the cover visibly damaged and dirt covering the surface. The plywood dashboard also shows signs of dirt and deterioration, with many stains and dust on the surface. The gauges and control buttons are faded, and the brake pedal is stuck. The wires related to the braking system might be aged or damaged, causing issues with the braking system. There are many exposed wires that are not neatly arranged. The leather seats have stains and signs of wear. The car floor is dirty and shows signs of accumulated dirt and debris. The floor mats are degraded and the gear shift and surrounding area show signs of wear and dirt. The gear shift knob is particularly unique, shaped like a skull, possibly a detail replaced by the previous owner. Next, I open the hood to inspect the engine bay. The engine is large, with a distinctive air filter showing signs of long-term use, with dirt and grease on the surface and surrounding parts. Then I check the cooling system. I use a dipstick to check the oil level. The dipstick shows the oil is very low and has turned black. I remove the air filter to check for any damage underneath. Next, I spray lubricant on the bolts and screws of the carburetor to make them easier to remove. I use a mechanical lift to raise the car and check if oil is leaking underneath. I work with the engine crankshaft, specifically using a wrench to turn the crankshaft with a 19mm bolt. The crankshaft is checked by turning it with a wrench, indicating I am checking for smoothness and free movement of the crankshaft. The crankshaft remains secure, not loose. I disconnect the wires related to the carburetor to inspect and ensure they are not damaged or worn. I reinstall the air filter. Finally, I use a long, narrow air blow gun to blow away the dirt in all the nooks and crannies of the engine bay. The next step is to inspect the engine and undercarriage. At first glance, I notice the exhaust pipe shows signs of rust, which is common in older cars. Rust can affect performance and safety, so it needs a closer inspection and possibly replacement if necessary. Then, I check the components of the exhaust system, such as the exhaust pipe and muffler, to ensure they are not leaking and are functioning well. I inspect the hoses and lines, including oil lines, coolant lines, fuel system lines, and electrical wires, to ensure they are not damaged or leaking. For the engine system, I examine all the engine components, including the pistons, cylinders, crankshaft, camshaft, and other parts to ensure they are not worn or damaged. After inspecting the engine system and undercarriage, I proceed to check the engine's operational capability after a long period of disuse. This ensures there are no severe damages or blockages inside the engine before attempting to start it. The next step, I use the starter to crank the engine after verifying everything is working correctly. This checks whether the engine starts and runs properly, allowing me to continue the inspection and adjustments to complete the repair. Then comes the inspection of a range of other important systems: the battery, electrical system, engine rotation, and trunk. Opening the trunk, I find it severely rusted. Although there is rust, there are no large holes or significant damages. This means the area is still quite solid and can be restored by cleaning and treating the rust. During the repair process, the trunk inspection might involve checking and repairing parts, such as the taillights, wiring, and other accessories. Next, I inspect the electrical wires to check for breaks, damage, or rust. Finally, in this stage, I take out the battery to connect it and attempt to start the car to ensure the starter and flywheel work correctly, and check if the engine rotates smoothly without getting stuck. In the next stage, I proceed to inspect the fuel system to ensure the engine can operate properly. This includes checking the fuel tank, fuel lines, fuel filter, and other related components. After completing the necessary inspections and maintenance, I start the engine for the first time. I use a temporary fuel tank hung underneath the hood, commonly known as an IV fuel bottle, or remote fuel tank. This bottle is used to supply fuel directly to the engine during testing or the first startup after repairs, without needing to use the car's main fuel tank. This is an important step to determine if all systems and components have been assembled and are functioning correctly. At the same time, I observe for any unusual signs, such as strange noises, smoke, or leaks. If any issues occur during the startup, adjustments or repairs are made immediately. This may include adjusting the fuel system, ignition system, or other components. The next step involves repairing the carburetor. The carburetor is a device in the internal combustion engine of a car that mixes air and fuel in the proper ratio for combustion in the combustion chamber. Then I clean the trunk using a vacuum cleaner. Finally, I change the oil to help lubricate the engine components, reduce friction and wear, cool the engine, and keep the internal parts clean by removing dirt and impurities. An essential step in car repair is fixing the braking system. The braking system is crucial in any vehicle. The braking system ensures safety by reducing speed and stopping the car when necessary. First, I handle a key component of the braking system, the brake master cylinder. The master cylinder is responsible for providing the hydraulic pressure needed to operate the wheel cylinders or brake calipers when you press the brake pedal. The master cylinder has significant pitting on the internal surface. This is a phenomenon where the metal surface is corroded, creating tiny pits. Although there is pitting, it can still be used. However, a thorough inspection is needed to ensure it does not affect brake performance. The spring and other parts of the master cylinder are also removed. These components need to be cleaned and inspected carefully before reassembly. I then proceed with the brake booster. The tool I use is a press, used to disassemble or assemble components of the braking system accurately and safely. This brake booster is old and shows signs of wear. I work with the brake cylinder and brake bleeder screws. I use a penetrating solution to soak the brake bleeder screws, helping to loosen the connections that are stuck due to rust or grime. Nearing the final steps, I now proceed with the fuel pump system. Before restarting the engine after a long period of disuse, it is essential to check the condition of the fuel pump. Ensure the pump operates normally and is not damaged. Inspect the entire fuel line system from the fuel pump to the engine. Ensure there are no leaks and the lines are not broken or damaged. Finally, I fill the fuel and oil into the engine's fuel system. The brake combination valve is an important part of the braking system. This valve performs several functions related to controlling and regulating brake pressure. So next, I inspect this brake system. Among them is the brake proportioning valve, also known as the brake pressure regulator valve. This component's function is to adjust the brake fluid pressure from the master cylinder to the wheels, distributing the braking force evenly and ensuring optimal braking performance. This valve is especially important in preventing rear wheel lockup during sudden braking, ensuring safety while driving. The brake proportioning valve shows signs of corrosion and rust. I inspect, clean, and repair this valve. I disassemble the valve to check the internal components, remove dirt and rust, then lubricate the moving parts and check the pressure. This process includes inspecting the internal parts of the valve to ensure there are no leaks or blockages and that the valve operates correctly during braking. Next, I work on the brake fluid lines in the car's braking system. These lines are responsible for carrying brake fluid from the main unit to the brake calipers or wheel cylinders at each wheel. Brake fluid lines are usually made of high-pressure resistant and flexible materials to withstand the harsh conditions during vehicle operation. First, I look for signs of brake fluid leaks, cracks, or wear on the surface of the lines. Since the lines are damaged or no longer reliable, they are removed from the braking system. New lines will be installed, ensuring secure connections with no brake fluid leaks. After installation, the brake system needs to be bled to remove air bubbles, ensuring smooth brake fluid flow and efficient brake operation. We are now at the final stages of the car repair process. A complete inspection of the braking system, engine, electrical, and other systems is carried out to ensure everything is working correctly with no issues arising after the repair process. Make minor adjustments to ensure that the newly installed parts operate smoothly and correctly. This includes adjusting belt tension, brake system adjustments, or fine-tuning the carburetor. After completing all the above steps, take the car for a test drive to check the actual performance and operation, ensuring all systems work as expected and the car runs smoothly. While I was repairing, my neighbor came over to check and dropped a bombshell. This is a 1971 Chevrolet Chevelle, an icon of the muscle car era. The 1971 Chevrolet Chevelle is not just a car, but an icon of a golden era in American automotive history. Today, the 1971 Chevelle remains one of the most sought-after and celebrated classic cars, embodying the respect and passion for the core values of the muscle car era. I am overjoyed